Land Sports. We are here and we are live. I'm here, of course, with the co-owner, co-owner uh, of Heartland Sports. Here we have Eric. How you doing tonight on this lively evening? How you doing?
Lively, I like it. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm here. You know, enjoyed a couple day, enjoyed a day off after that nice 4.5 hour live stream on Thursday that you all should definitely check out. It's our first football video. I did do my whole free agency update there, but other than that, I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Doing good, surviving, punkering down for now. Still working, not as much as you, obviously, because you're more essential.
Yeah, let's go.
Um,
Essential, quote unquote.
But yeah, we're staying in there. Hopefully, in the next month or two, things will definitely change. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, this video is to give everybody watching kind of more of an insight about Eric and I, uh, in general, more to learn more about us. I mean, some of it sports related, some of it completely not sports related. So just more background info. And we have a couple list of questions with us that we came up with that we thought we would inform you guys and give you more facts about us and yeah, so let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start off. The first question is where are you located and what are your favorite sports teams? So I'll actually have Eric start this one off because Heartland Sports is obviously based in Hartford, Connecticut, and I'm actually not in Hartford, Connecticut. So we'll start with you, Eric. Location and what are your top favorite sports teams?
As I said in the Thursday night live stream, right when I started it, I'm based right outside of Hartford, Connecticut, enjoying it, enjoying the day, enjoying Connecticut, enjoying this horrible weather that we've been getting the past couple days with. Well, yesterday was great, but rain right now. Expect to have rain for the next basically week, unfortunately. But yeah, I enjoyed my four seasons, so we had a nice cold front. We actually got some snow less than a week ago, so I enjoyed that. Um, my favorite sports and in the team, my favorite team in each sport, if I can do that, will be like NFL. Obviously, I'm a huge Eagles fan. I made that very well known during the live stream, and I've made it known in other videos. MLB's got me my second favorite sport just because I watched it for such a long time. I can name all those stars from the 2000s. I can't really do that for the NHL. NHL is my third sport. Of course, I like the Philadelphia teams in both those sports as well. And then the fourth sport that I followed, is soccer, but I really only follow the World Cup and the Olympic soccer. I enjoy watching like the players that aren't getting paid; they're just representing their country. I enjoy watching that. It makes it a totally different experience than the garbage that that they seem to play with more heart when they're representing their country instead of representing a paycheck. That's my opinion. But how about you?
So, yes, like I said, he's in based just outside of Hartford. I am actually not based outside of Hartford at the moment. I grew up with Eric alongside him in Connecticut, and we both graduated high school together, and my family kind of went separate ways, and now I'm outside down here, outside of North Carolina, outside of Raleigh. It's interesting because sports teams like the Whalers, for example, who go from a place like Hartford to Raleigh, it's interesting to see the different uh, people down here that like claim, oh, the team's ours, and people up there. But we could talk about this some other time. But anyways, so I'm down here, he's up there. Obviously, we text each other, we do phone calls, and communication is just like me being up there. There really isn't much difference because he still works every day. Um,
Yep,
but
except one day a week.
yeah, yeah. Except obviously, I work only 1 or 2 days a week, and the weather down here obviously is a lot warmer. So I go up visit Connecticut at least once a year. Maybe this year I'll do it twice because this whole virus thing. Maybe in the summer and once in the winter. We'll have to see how everything pans out. And then, of course, in terms of my favorite sports teams, definitely got to go with the Boston Bruins for the favorite hockey team easily. Um, I've been watching their games since I lived in Connecticut since I was growing up, elementary school all the way through high school, all the way through now. I got them on the NHL subscription. That's why I watch all their games from down here. Um, And number two team would definitely have to be the Braves, Major League Baseball in Atlanta, Georgia. Definitely my top favorite baseball team. And then soccer teams would be definitely either Atlanta United or Orlando City FC, um, or SC, not FC. Um, yeah, that's pretty much my top sports teams and where I'm located. And I'll start off the next question here. We got a couple questions here that are kind of like a two-way thing. So the second question here is what are the sports that we've played in our life, whether it's in school or recreational wise, on teams, etc. So I'm gonna start with me. Um, I played soccer since I was like kindergarten, first grade, all the way up until freshman in high school. And then kind of when freshman in high school kind of worked, my skill level kind of dropped. So I wasn't really the best player. I was leaning toward the bottom, and the competitive game just got away from me, and I just kind of gave up on that. So I played soccer up until high school, first year, and then I played baseball all the way up until seventh or eighth grade, right before I entered high school. And those were the two major sports. I played basketball a few years in between then, but it wasn't really a big sport for my liking. So what about you, Eric? What were the sports you played?
So when I was younger, like right when I moved up to where I am now, I played soccer for 3 years, I want to say, from second to fourth grade. I was more of a midfielder slash defender. I never got a goal. I do remember that. And I just, it wasn't my favorite thing. It's just, a lot of people like soccer, and it was a good way to meet other people. Um, I played basketball for literally one season, and it didn't do anything. I had no intention. But the one sport I played that I loved was baseball, and I played that up until eighth grade because at that point they no longer offered rec, and it would have been, recreational. It would have been you have to join the high school team, and wasn't good enough with my skill set to do it. I wasn't a good hitter at all, and I was just an average fielder, so it was kind of like I wouldn't start. I'd be like the replacement that would come in once in every game because it was rec, so they had to put you in every game. So it was what it was. Other than that, my senior year of high school, I did partake in tennis, and that was mostly because I had a nice brand new tennis racket that I had gotten a couple years prior that I'd never really used, and the teacher the coach, I should say, for tennis was actually our stats teacher, and we both really liked him. He was a great guy, and I was just, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed having, time to get to talk to the guy, especially when we'd be on the bus trips going around, not too far, obviously, but like half-hour bus trips to 45-minute bus trips, talking to the teacher. He was a big sports fan. He's a huge Cowboys fan. I am not, but we had like a mutual respect for each other. So it was fun, you get to talk all different sports and get to know him and get to know his family because sometimes he'd bring his wife and daughter with him. So it was always a fun day.
Hmm. Nice. All right. I was gonna add on to what you said about the whole soccer thing. Yeah. Parks and uh, Parks and Rec Association in our town. Once you got up to seventh or eighth grade, I don't know if you remember this, how they had slimmed down. There were like so few
Yeah.
teams
Oh, yeah.
when I played in seventh and eighth grade for Parks and Rec that we actually had to play the out of town rec teams because there were only like, was it 3 or 4 teams? And
I don't
normally there's
remember.
like 6 to 8 or something. It was some crazy, but anyways, yeah, it had shrunk so much that we had to end up playing the out of town. Like for example, when I was in seventh or eighth
Mhm.
grade and on that one team, we ended up playing like like a nearby town. Um, so that's pretty much that question there. Going on to the next one, we can have you start off this one, Eric. We'll do the first half of this one,
Okay.
and that's favorite activity outside of sports.
So I kind of, have a few things. I'm not this big person that wants to do too much. So like occasionally after work I'll go out to drink with a couple coworkers here and there. It's usually just one or usually just two or three of us at most. It's a nice little social thing to do. Usually we go to a sports bar, watch a little bit of a game. Obviously, right now you can't do that. So what I've been doing to kind of compensate is I'll kind of, you know, I've been on the PlayStation a lot more. I've been doing a lot more sports games in general. I've been doing a little bit of Madden here, a little bit of NHL, a little bit of MLB. I've always enjoyed that. Other than sports, though, because I'm trying to not mention sports for this one, I do other games as well. Like Grand Theft Auto is probably my favorite game to play. In all honesty, I just got a couple other games like Rocket League that I'm enjoying. So it's fun to branch out. You know, Unlike most people in our age group, when I was throughout like high school, I never really played any video games. I only got this about a year and a half ago, and it's something that I enjoy doing, and it's fun to have. Other than that, I do love playing fantasy sports big time. So this past month and a half has been tough for me. Can't do any fantasy sports, can't watch sports. And, it should be about a month into the baseball season now, but obviously that hasn't happened. She should have started a month ago today. Nice side note for you. But other than that, as the weather gets warmer, I'm not doing it as much, but in the winter time, I've made it known I like the cold weather. I did go out on walks, as long as it wasn't windy, especially when I was on break at work. I would take like a 22-minute walk around the facility, and it would be like -5 degrees out, sometimes Fahrenheit, with a little wind chill. That's with the wind chill, or it would be like 10 degrees, and people would be like, "Why are you going outside?" And I'm just like, "Well, I like the cold weather." You got a problem with it? Yeah. So I've been doing it too recently. I've been going on walks in my town, just getting some fresh air. Yeah. How about you? What would your favorite hobbies be?
So obviously, other than sports not going on, which is probably the most thing I'd be doing around this time of year with all the playoffs going on and stuff. But there's other stuff I do. For example, I still play the piano here and there. Still numerous songs I just go over during the day sometimes, play that. Or I just hop on YouTube, pull some tutorials off how to play certain piano songs, play around with that. And sometimes time flies when I'm doing that. So that's one of the top things. Another thing is creating these little models that I've recently started doing. One of them that I have here, of course, is this model here. If you can see it in the camera of Exploria Stadium in Orlando. There is a video on our channel about that, how I built that. Just a little quick few-minute thing about that. But yeah, building little models, that's pretty cool. I just started one today. That's going to be a model of a certain speedway that no longer exists.
Ooh, fascinating.
So it's just kind of a hobby, like building things, kind of. Stuff with my hands is kind of what I'm good at. If it's not building models, it's fixing stuff. Sometimes around the house, or sometimes if I have to change the oil in my car, or checking my tire pressure, just stuff like that. It's basic kind of normal stuff that almost like a regular person our age would kind of be doing if they're not in school and stuff. But so yeah, that's pretty much most I do outside of sports. And obviously down here, unlike up there, since it's already warmer here, for example, like I say, I also go to the beach sometimes, even though that is about the same distance as it was from my house up in Connecticut, because I live inland more. But moving
For the
on,
record, that is
yeah,
not something I like to do.
yeah,
We're somewhat different people. I don't necessarily like going out in the social life, dealing with all those people, and just sitting in the sun for 5 hours. But I do see why people enjoy it. It's just not my cup of tea. I
right.
had to say something. I
That's fine.
had to
That's
say
fine. Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I forgot to mention too, I will actually sit at home a lot and I'll be watching YouTube, and I'm one of those people. I'm probably the only one of the very few people in their 20s that will say this. I'll watch historical documentaries and stuff like that. It is what it is.
That's true. It is what it is. But yeah, all right. Let's move on to the next one. This one, actually, not the one we just went over. This one, upcoming one, is the two-part one. So we have the favorite sports moment in person, and also the first sports event you ever went to. I guess I'll answer these first. The favorite sports moment in person. Honestly, you're probably gonna be like, "Oh, he would say this," but I'm gonna say when the Hurricanes had their first Whalers night here.
Ugh.
I mean, let's be honest. Seeing those Whalers uniforms on the NHL ice was pretty sweet. I mean, you can't see it on camera, but on the wall over here, I got a poster that's signed by Matt Rogers, one of the former Whalers. They had a bunch of alumni there signing stuff. Of course, they had Pucky the Whale, right? Isn't that his name?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pucky the
Pucky.
Whale.
Yeah, yep. Had pretty much the same exact guy there. Looked no different than the one you saw in 1997 at their last game. But it was just a really cool night. And of course, having that little tribute video in the beginning, uh, just kind of jogged the memory when I watched some history videos about the Whalers' last game in '97 and their
A
franchise
nice
they had there.
a victory
So,
over Tampa. Gotta say it.
yep, yeah, that's true. Even though they were both already out of the playoffs, but yeah. So that was the favorite sports moment. The first sports event I ever went to uh, was a. I'm gonna say two things here. The first one that I'm pretty sure I went to was the first one was an AHL American Hockey League game in Springfield, Massachusetts, where the Falcons, Springfield Falcons, which are now the Thunderbirds, played at what at the time was the Springfield Civic Center before they changed the name to Mass Mutual. Um, yeah, that's pretty much. We had the park in the garage, and then of course the game was pretty sweet. Um, Unless it was like a Friday or Saturday, the crowd was never really huge. But I remember every time leaving a game, we'd wait like 45 minutes leaving the Civic Center garage because we always parked like 4 levels up. It was kind of crazy. But and then the other event I was gonna say was an Atlanta Braves game back in the mid to late, I don't know, mid to middle, maybe between 2005 and 2008ish. When I went to visit my one of my relatives in South Carolina. We flew up for a day to Atlanta and caught a Braves game at Turner Field. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much first favorite moment and first game experience. What about you?
Oh, my favorite moment. I got two of them. So the first one I'm gonna go with is a pretty simple one. It's just my first Eagles game I got to see in person would have been the Jets, Eagles at Jets 2015, and my one of my favorite players of all time is Darren Sproles. He just retired this past season after the 2019 season, and I got to see him do one of his, I believe, 6 or 7 kick return touchdowns, and it just revitalized the whole crowd. The section, I don't know if I've talked about it before, but the section I was sitting in was full of Eagles fans, and everybody gets up and starts cheering. And it turned the game around. It turned the season around. The Eagles were 0-2 at that point. And the Jets were 2-0. And the Eagles kind of got back into it and started figuring things out. And they ended up missing the playoffs that year. They went 9-7, I want to say. No, 7-9. They went 7-9 that year, and that was the year they fired Chip Kelly. But it was just really great to see Darren Sproles do that and get to see a lot of Eagles greats like Jason Peters. I got to see him. I got to see Brandon Graham. I got to see what would be Cody Parkey's last game as an Eagle before, the 2018 playoffs where he basically played for the Eagles when he did that double doink. Yeah, but the other one isn't necessarily a sports thing. It's just so everybody knows about the Boston bombings, the Boston Marathon bombings, of course. And I had the pleasure of going to the first professional sports game in Boston after the bombings occurred because remember they had canceled a couple games here and there due to it.
Yep.
And it was a Buffalo Sabres at Boston Bruins game. Just seeing the national anthem in person, it's just like, it was one of those moments that you will never forget. And it was an honor to see it. Something that, I don't take lightly. Because I remember it was very insane. The security was so high. And you just get to go there and you get to live a moment of American history. And I'll tell people that story and they'll honestly, they'll be jealous. And I'm not trying to make people jealous. It's just a moment that I remember and will remember for the rest of my life. Otherwise, though, my first game that I remember going to, I'm sure I went to like Hartford Wolfpack games, for example, earlier than this, but I know I went to the Dolphins played at the Jets in 2004, And I know it was 2004 because it was a Monday night football game, and I remember I got to miss school that Tuesday, so I was so pumped about it, despite not being a Dolphins or a Jets fan. So it was just so exciting. It was amazing. We got to go and just see a game on a Monday night, so I didn't have to go to school the next day, and it was just it was a bad game. It was a blowout, but it was a great experience to get to go to a game. I was so pumped. I'd never been awake for that long, and obviously we just had a great time. We had a great time. Um, I'll go with the next question here just to change it up a little bit
Okay.
and mention the fact of the favorite sports memory that we've had all time. And my favorite sports memory that I had in person is when I got to when not in person, sorry. My favorite sports memory that I ever watched was obviously when the Eagles won Super Bowl 52. Yeah, that was an amazing moment just in my life. I remember seeing it and watching it, and I can tell you the exact date. I can tell you what I did. I literally ran down the street. It was pouring. It was raining pretty heavily. I ran down the street in my socks because I didn't have time to fumble with my shoes, just screaming, all pumped up. That was an amazing day. That was an amazing day.
Huh.
How about you? What was your
I
favorite sports moment?
definitely got to say when the Bruins won the Cup in 2011. Um, did not see him going that far that season, but they were able to do it, and I was pumped. I was happy, and yeah, 2011. That was right before trying to think. That was 2011. That was eighth grade. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Yep.
that was eighth grade because one of my classmates was a Bruins fan as well, and she signed my yearbook saying, have a nice summer, enjoy high school, and then she said, congrats to the Bruins, they got the cup, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. But all right, moving on to the next question here. Let's see, we did that one, we did that one, we did that one. Oh, by the way, fun fact, I don't know if I ever told you this. Back in 2000, I don't remember the exact year. It was either 2008 or 2009. I actually attended an Atlanta Thrashers game. Um, I'm not even gonna lie. And the crazy thing was, like, I mean, at the time, I knew of hockey, of course, and I didn't follow all league-wide teams as much as I do now, or within the past 5 years now. But like, we were sitting all the way up, almost in the nosebleeds, because my grandpa got cheap. He was able to get a deal on the tickets or something, and it was me, my dad, my grandpa, and I think my other brother, and they gave out these like thunder stick things that you would clap. Uh,
God.
and it was crazy. They got blown out though, and the fans were getting pissed. And it was actually a decently crowded game if I remember. Um, and the crazy thing was, I'm trying to think. There's another sports team that does this, but when they had the intro, obviously they're no longer existing. But when they had the intro, when the team came out, they had these thrasher heads above the jumbotron that would spew out flames when they introduced the team. That was one of the few things I remember. It was interesting though. But anyways, let's move on to the favorite sports memorabilia items. I'll start off with this one. I got a couple things. So of course I have a couple jerseys that you've seen in one of the previous videos. I got the Buffalo jersey. I got I mean, these are not real jerseys except for the Bruins one, but I got a little bit of collectible jerseys there. I got an old Florida one from when I went to a Panthers game back in like the late 2000s as well. I also have a Boston game official puck that Eric actually did send me. But that's pretty cool to have. I also have many hockey photos. Some have signatures. To be honest, I'm not sure if some of those signatures are real or not, but either way, it's pretty cool. It's still pretty cool to have because I know any sports signature can be easily faked. But and then lastly, I just have more frames and posters and um, yeah, and other other cool little merchandising, lanyards and stuff. So, what about you?
So I have a lot of sports memorabilia. I basically just tried to limit it to one from each sport of the big four, which does include basketball. I haven't mentioned it. I really don't care for basketball, but I do have basketball memorabilia. If that's something that you guys are interested in, just let me know, and I'll definitely do a video. I probably will be posting a few pictures here and there, especially on like Twitter because I do run the Twitter page. So if you guys have anything, that you want to ask me specifically on Twitter, go ahead and send a DM on the Twitter page. Um, if it is something that interests you guys, let me know. I will definitely do a video of it. But I have for hockey, I actually have a signed Travis Konechny hockey puck. That's like a game official puck. And actually, Patrick here sent it to me, so that's why I sent him the Bruins puck because I'm like, oh, he sent me a Konechny puck for my birthday, so I'm gonna send him something for. It had to be the holidays after the fact, just because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? Let's. There's no other. No, it had to be for your birthday actually, because there was no other time. It's weird to send you something randomly in the middle of the summer, but for basketball, I actually have a Vince Carter, who he's going to make Basketball Hall of Fame soon. I have a signed basketball by him, with the also with the certificate of authenticity and all that stuff. Same with the Konechny puck, I do have it for that as well. Speaking of signed merchandise for baseball, I have a Jonathan Papelbon warm-up jacket that's signed by him from his rookie year when he was with the Red Sox, with the certificate of authenticity as well. And then for football, I do. I don't believe it or not. I have a signed mini helmet, but it's not my favorite piece. My favorite piece is a Darren Sproles football card I have. It's not an autograph or anything. It's just a game used jersey piece, numbered to 45 or 35 or something like that. Like I said, I just love Darren Sproles. It's the card's not worth much of anything, but Sproles is just one of my favorite players. Probable Hall of Famer. So I just, I got the card for pretty cheap because he had been coming off a iffy season. I think it was one of his random seasons on the Saints. I've had the card for like a decade now, and I just, I fell in love with it. But yeah, so getting off the topic of sports here, let's go with our next question here, which is the top three cities in the United States that you yourself would want to visit that you have not been to. And I guess I will start off with this one. So I haven't been too far specifically. I've basically just been on the Eastern Seaboard for most of my life, visiting. I've never been on a plane before. That's a little fact about me. An active plane. I have been on non-active planes because I live relatively close to, I'm close to Hartford, so Bradley International Airport. So, you can go, we used to go in there sometimes and, they have decommissioned planes and stuff, and a couple when you're a kid, they let you go inside. But anyway, I'd like to go to, in no particular order, Detroit, Michigan. It's a random city that nobody ever says they want to go to, but there's a good amount of history there in general, and of course I want to see a Tigers game at some point. It would be great to see a Tigers game, it'd be great to see a Lions game, and just see, where it's gone, and see the shame that, I don't want to say any more than that, but see, what was once America's, like, one of America's brightest cities. After that, Las Vegas, Nevada. I definitely want to go there one day. I probably could go there. I had a chance to go there last summer, 2019, and I declined it because I don't have the spare income to justify being able to go to Vegas, because I know they're going to want, you go to Vegas and you want to spend all this money. But I definitely want to go to Vegas someday, probably when I'm in my 30s, maybe later 20s, if I have more income. And I just, want to have some fun there and, gamble and all that good stuff. On the last city I want to visit, going back to the Midwest, Canton, Ohio. No reason other than, I'd want to go to Ohio, and Football Hall of Fame is right there. So, it's something I've always wanted to go to. But how about you?
For the top three U.S. cities that I chose in no particular order, just like you said. First one I put was Philadelphia. I know you've been there plenty of times. I definitely want to go see the Liberty Bell for sure. Obviously, where the Declaration was signed, as well as many other museums around the city, and of course the great Phillies team itself, and maybe even an Eagles game, maybe even a Flyers game, just whatever I would have the opportunity would definitely be a worth experience. For another city, definitely said Chicago, the Windy City. An experience in itself would definitely be a Chicago Cubs game at Wrigley Field, um, as well as seeing the skyline itself of Chicago with the Willis Tower and stuff. And I know you can take tours and stuff of any of the other big skyscrapers there, as well as checking out the different parts of the city that are really interesting and pertained to Chicago itself. And then for the third city, I actually put Nashville, Tennessee.
Hmm.
This is interesting. The reason I put Nashville is obviously it's the Music City. I mean, they got the Predators. They do have the Tennessee Titans. But the reason I put it is because I've heard it's such a great city to go see. I mean, not only is the music everywhere, but there's so much entertainment to do um, in the city. And it'd definitely be a place that I would go for at least a weekend trip, if not longer. Go to the bars, go concerts for sure, go to sports venues. Definitely a place I definitely want to go. So the second half of this question has to do with the top cities you'd want to visit outside of the U.S. So I guess I'll start this one in no particular order as well. Number one, you did guess earlier in the pre-talk for this video, was Stockholm, Sweden.
Yeah.
Uh, some people don't know on this channel. Actually, nobody knows except for really Eric. Like about a little over a year ago, maybe even longer than that. Like all of a sudden, I had interest in Sweden and stuff, and the band ABBA, and so I started learning a little Swedish, and I kind of know basics, and then, I started learning it on my phone. And I don't even know if I told you this, Eric. I actually ordered like a 15 CD thing from like Pimsleur about how to learn Swedish, like all these audio things.
When did you order that?
I ordered that like a year ago, and
No, I didn't know that.
I started using the first CD, and I don't know if I can do this because like if it's all audio, like honestly, I might just get bored sitting there and listening to a bunch of some random lady trying to teach me Swedish, and she's talking like the speed of a turtle. So it's like, but hold on, let me just continue this game. But yeah, Stockholm was definitely the number one, and obviously hockey is big in Sweden as well as other European and Scandinavian countries. But number two, this might surprise you. I put Jakarta, Indonesia. Um, Obviously, Jakarta is one of the top cities that is rapidly sinking right now. It's sinking itself into the ocean. But I think it's more of the reason I would go is it's more of a kind of just an interesting thing to see the city itself. There's many parts of it, obviously, actually most of it, especially along the coastline where it's sinking the most and fastest. A lot of poor people, and it would be kind of one of those cities I'd like to visit to find out more about the culture and what they're doing about this problem specifically, and uh, meet the people, of course, because I know a lot of people of what I've seen on documentaries and stuff. Everybody's nice, everybody's welcoming, and Indonesia itself has the largest Muslim population um, of any other country. So, the third city that I chose was Sydney, Australia. And that one was kind of just a given just because of the places that are there, like the Sydney Opera House for sure. I mean, I remember as a kid watching Finding Nemo, and you saw that whole scene picture of the Opera House and the bridge and everything. Just one of those cities I kind of want to see. And also, the water I know is very clear over there, and there's a lot of stuff you can do in that city itself. So definitely those are my top three. I'm curious to see what your top three are.
Interesting fact about Jakarta. I don't know if you know, but in late summer of last year, Indonesia announced that they're going to be moving the capital from Jakarta
Yes,
because it's
yes. And
sinking.
I forget the name of the other province place they moved it
Oh
to,
my
but it's
gosh.
like
It's
Bohi,
like,
Bo something. It's
yeah,
I don't remember, but
it's
y-
like East something, I
yeah,
think.
I saw it and
But
stuff, and it was interesting. But
I remember hearing about that. I'm like, really? That is so weird.
That's crazy. It's a
But
big
you
deal,
know,
but yeah.
it is what it is. You know, the city's sinking. You got to do something about it. Um, you know, think when you were talking about that and you mentioned sinking, I'm like, oh wait, that's right. That reminded me of another city. So I'm gonna have four,
Okay.
actually. Um, so one city I definitely want to visit is Munich, Germany. You know, I have family that grew up in there. My grandpa actually grew up right outside of Munich, like 5 minutes or 5 miles from the Austrian border. So, you know, it's something I want to go to, but obviously I want to know some German first. And right now is not the best time to travel. Obviously, I don't think you really can travel there. But you know, it's something I definitely want to go to and visit. It's something. It's a place that I've always wanted to go, and you know, you go there, you can easily visit Austria, you can easily visit Czechia. It's just you're so close to so many places. You can possibly go to Poland. Um, yeah. So my second city, the one that it reminded me of, is Venice, Italy, because that's another city that's sinking, and it's just you know there's so much stuff there that I want to see and experience, and obviously it's going to be difficult as time goes on, because right now you know the city's not. It's not like the city's frozen. It's not saying it's still going down a little, you know, little by little, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be to getting to visit the city, but you know, I still don't have a passport right now. My third city would be. This is going to be the most obscure city that you're ever going to hear. Macau, China. Have you ever heard of Macau, China?
No, I actually don't think I have.
So Macau is essentially the Eastern world's version, China's version of Las Vegas. So if you're watching this, I definitely would recommend looking it up. Macau, Macau, China. It's really a nice city. Like if you look at a picture of it, you'll think, "Oh, is that Las Vegas? No, that looks a little different." It's so similar to Vegas. Again, I know I said I don't really like going out and social things, but something like that is something I would want to go to. And then the fourth city that I want to go to is Quebec City in Canada. You know, you were talking about Swedish and all that. When I was in high school, middle school, oh my god, I haven't spoken French in a while. I was gonna say I studied French in school, but you know, I never really could speak it that well. I can write it, but you know, it's something that I'd like to go to and you know, see if I can speak a little bit of French and see if I can just click and start having conversations en français rather than in English like I do every day. So you know, it's something that would be nice. And of course, there's areas you can visit in Quebec, and you know, you can see where the Nordiques used to play. If that stadium's still standing, I don't know if it is.
Mm.
But yeah, um, staying on the topic of like world and U.S. and all that good stuff, we had another one about both of us collect flags a little bit. We don't have like a massive, massive collection, but both of us do collect flags. So, you know, we just thought of what flags you own. And it could be sports related, could be countries, could be states. So I'll start that one off. You know, I have the Quebec flag. I'm actually looking at it right now. I got it right above my TV. Right above my bed, I have my, you know, they call it the Gadsden flag. For those of you who don't know the term, it's the flag with the snake on it that says "Don't tread on me." You know, good old 1770s American propaganda, for lack of a better word. You know, I fell in love with that flag the first time I saw it. I also have the World War I German flag with the naval cross on it. It is not affiliated with the regime that you might be thinking of. They have no affiliation to that. So, don't. That's all I'm gonna say. Of course, I have a United States flag as well. I have the Connecticut state flag because it's a state I live in and have lived in for the vast majority of my life. And I have the flag of the Vatican City. But yeah, how about you? What flags do you have?
It's interesting that you say you have the Connecticut flag, because that's funny. Actually, like 6 months ago, I was thinking about getting the Connecticut flag. And I don't have a North Carolina flag, surprisingly. But so I got I have, of course, the American flag. I have I have three team flags, I guess technically. The Boston Bruins flag, a Hurricanes flag, and a Whalers kind of banner slash flag with a
Huge
giant
one of
logo.
those.
It's pretty cool. I got it off of Amazon, I think, like 3 years ago. But maybe even more than that actually before I came down here. But yeah, I have those three team flags, the American flag, and then of course I have in the background behind me in the corner on the flagpole, there's the flag of Hawaii. I don't know if I told you about any of these flags. The flag of Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
In my
Oh yeah.
drawer there, underneath next to my bed, I have the flag of Indonesia, which is literally just a red and white a red and white line. I could have just drawn it if I wanted to. No
Hey, do you
offense to
know what the flag
Indonesia.
of Poland is?
It's very similar, isn't it?
Flip over the flag of Indonesia.
It's okay. That's what I. Okay. In fact, dude, and the flag of Singapore is the flag of Indonesia, but with a logo in the top
The
left
flag of
corner. It's
Japan is just a
like
red circle.
exactly. These are simple flags. It's like,
Oh, yeah,
dude, I
let's go
paid.
with Switzerland too. Let's put a white cross right in the middle of a red square. There's
Yeah.
Switzerland. Oh
So,
my God.
flag of Indonesia, flag of Hawaii, three sports flags, the American flag, and then, of course, the Sweden flag in the closet as well. I don't think I have any other flags. I might get more actually in the coming weeks. There was one I was gonna buy, ordered the other day, but everything with Amazon now, obviously, since I don't want to
Right.
kind of interfere with the whole more important order thing and stuff, so I'm gonna wait
Right.
till everything dies down before I order anything because it's gonna be at least 2 weeks. For example, some of my family ordered masks like a week ago. They're supposed to come 2 days ago, and they're not coming for another week now. It's kind of crazy how this stuff's working. But yeah, those are my flags. And you just heard Eric. So moving on, this is an interesting one now. Uh, did we do the favorite school subjects one?
Nope.
I don't think we did.
Not
So we'll go
yet.
to that one. I might have to say two for me. This is a good one. I actually did not have a problem with like during like elementary school, maybe even up until high school. Like English class was actually pretty interesting. Reading these old novels and I mean the only sucky part I guess was having to write the essays about one
Ugh.
one dumb question that they asked you that you never thought you could write an essay about, and you have to show all your proof and stuff. But the novels that we read in English class were pretty interesting, whether it was from plays like Romeo and Juliet or to other stuff. It was very interesting, and so even in fourth grade, we read a novel about some girl called Number the Stars. I don't know if you remember that.
What was it called?
Um, Number the Stars by
Was that
something
the
Lowry or something. It was
was
about that
that
girl, the Holocaust one.
Jewish one?
Yep,
Yeah, I do
yep,
remember
yep.
that one.
And we even had a guest speaker come or something, like when we finished the
Oh
book or something.
gosh,
But
I
that was an
remember that.
interesting book. And then the other subject would be kind of history involved, history slash geography. In like elementary to middle school was more geography based. Learning about the other countries in the world was very interesting and very knowledge that I think we definitely needed because you go out, you see all the talk shows going out and asking people where is this country and they don't even know where Canada is. That's kind of depressing.
Jeez.
But yeah, definitely geography slash history and more English were my top favorites. We'll curious see what yours were.
Oh, it's easy. Come on. History and geography. Geography, big time. If you give me a blank map of the world right now and give me, a little bit of time, I could more likely than not fill in the vast majority of the 196 slash 197 193, 196, or 197 UN recognized countries slash recognized countries throughout the world because the UN doesn't recognize countries like Taiwan because Chinese Taipei, same thing, because China doesn't recognize them. Vatican City doesn't want to be recognized. Palestine's not UN recognized country, so it's a mess. But I could probably fill in the vast majority of them. I've always loved geography. I can in history class. Like I remember sitting in history class sometimes, and I would get ahead of the class, and I would just be sitting there, and I would always be fascinated by the wars, specifically like World War I, World War II. And I just remember like a Civil War to Revolutionary War. I just remember sitting in class looking at like the maps of the battles, like the Battle of Gettysburg and all that stuff, and just being so fascinated by it. And we'd finally get to it in the day of class, and I would still be fascinated by the map. And everyone else would just look at it as like a quick little breeze. I'm just like, oh, I love that. And also, it's funny that you mentioned English as one of your favorite classes because, and then you mentioned Romeo and Juliet. I've actually never read anything of Romeo and Juliet, believe it or not. Because when you guys did it in high school, I was not a part of the high school at that time. But I have read Othello, so I do know Shakespeare. And one of my favorite books I've ever read is Lord of the Flies. Just a little side note about me. I don't know if you've read that book, but if
I've
you haven't,
never read that book actually.
Also, I highly recommend Moneyball. If you haven't read it, it's a nice sports-related book. It's about baseball from Billy Beane. There's also the movie about it as well.
Oh, yeah, I saw the movie. That was a good movie. I'm not gonna lie. In my opinion.
So we got a couple more questions. It's also funny that you mentioned English because the second you said that, I thought of a quote from one of my favorite TV shows. And the second to last question is, what is our favorite TV show / movies? And, favorite TV shows, gotta be, come on. If you get to know me, you'll figure out what I like to watch on TV. I don't watch too much TV, but a lot of the times I'll have on adult cartoons, and I'll just be kind of listening to them while I'm doing stuff. And I've been doing a lot more, I've been doing a lot of research for our History of series that we're going to be starting soon. I just announced it on Twitter. We'll be doing the history of each MLB team. I'll be taking a lot of that, but we will be doing our History of the New York Yankees video very soon at some point this week. Just spreading that news out here. My favorite TV shows, though, the quote that I was reminded of is from The Simpsons when Ralph Wiggum says, "Me fail English, that's impossible."
Oh my god.
I remember the first time I saw that, I just started laughing. I'm like, what? There's no way. No, what? And I remember, there was another time in my English class, senior year of high school, where our teacher let us watch the episode Das Bus, which is based off of Lord of the Flies. So I got a kick out of that. As a fellow Simpsons fan, that was probably my favorite. That was probably my favorite day of school and senior year, in all honesty, because I'm pretty sure that was at the point when we were working together on our stats project too. But my other favorite TV show that I love to watch, King of the Hill. Unfortunately, it's no longer on. It was like 1997 to 2009 it was on. Great show, underrated in my opinion. As for movies, I'm going off spectrum here and going back to history. My two favorite movies actually have come out in the past couple years, the past year. So Jojo Rabbit, very funny movie. Highly recommend it if you have not seen it. Jojo Rabbit is hysterical. I love it. It's not for everybody because it is a satire that involves Nazis. So obviously you have to have a sense of humor and you have to understand that the guy who's playing Hitler is the director and he's Jewish. So you do have to understand that. But go in there with an open mind and you'll enjoy the movie. And then the second movie is 1917. I mentioned I'm a big World War I history buff. Oh man, that's such a classic. Honestly, I've looked up movie lists that mention like the top World War I movies. It just came out in January of last year, 2019, and I actually have my ticket stub still from the day I saw it, which would have been January 12th. Oh my gosh, it's such a masterpiece. I love it. I will be watching it again soon. It's just such a good movie. But how about you? What's your favorite TV show and movies be?
In terms of TV shows, obviously I had to go with shows like The Office, for example. Obviously, that stopped back in 2013, but it was a hysterical series of 9 seasons that I can watch over and over, and I'll probably get the DVD before it gets off of Netflix next January. So I definitely said The Office, as well as, let's be honest here, I love Cops. That's fair. No, that's fair. A great show, and they still have. I mean, they may not have Cops on as much, but they have like this other show called like Live PD or something,
Yeah.
and those are just like, I don't know why. It's just like joy, like seeing people like get justice. It's like you busting you for drugs, and there's other show too. I don't know if it's on TV anymore. It might be on Netflix now. But it was like this. Oh my God, I forget what it's called, but these people, it was basically these SWAT units in Miami that would go make these big drug busts or big big arrest people that are on the top most wanted list or something in the Miami area. But it was really interesting to see their whole setup and how they did it and how they took precaution. And so that was TV shows for me. As far as movies, I'll say definitely my top favorite movie was the original Back to the Future movie.
See, I
That
almost
was
put
great.
that. I was
That was
so
great.
close.
I could watch just like The Office TV show. I could watch that movie over and over and over again, and I'll probably get that one on DVD soon too. Um, so I put the Back to the Future as that one, and then other than that, just other documentaries in general, whether they're history stuff about past events or technology documentaries about um, th- objects or people or just anything history kind of related with that is fascinating as well.
Yeah, you know
So,
what's bad?
yeah.
You know what's bad? One time when we were in middle school, there was this documentary thing that we watched in class about the Battle of Gallipoli, and I had already seen it before at my own, at my home, on my leisure. You know it's bad when that happens. When there's something that your teacher shows you for an hour and a half of like a battle, and you've already seen it.
True.
That's bad.
But so that pretty much rounds up the questions. There's one more that we have, um, which is basically just like the future wise in general, whether it's with the channel or without. And I'm gonna go ahead and start this one off and say that in terms of this channel, um, obviously I'm hoping it kind of lifts off the ground with the help of you guys subscribing and also sharing this video. It can get promoted more and get seen more by many other viewers around the country, around the world, and obviously the more audience we have, the more successful we can be. The goal with this channel, in my opinion, would be obviously to grow it to a point where um, we can go from doing one video every day to doing 1 to 2 videos a week, and know that like things will be a little more relaxed and things will continue to grow. And then of course a whole branding thing and a whole uh, more sponsorships to start and other stuff like that. And in terms of the location, because obviously, I mean, we love Connecticut. Eric obviously still lives there. I don't live there anymore, but I'm hoping to move back up to the Northeast area in the next year or two at the most. Obviously, the economy in Connecticut isn't the best right now. Hopefully, that will change. I mean, we've
Economy in the
had
U.S. isn't the best.
that is well, yeah, but that's
Thanks,
in
COVID
general
19.
and also including the virus, both. But and it's not really going to get better right now. But like in terms of Connecticut, for example, obviously HartlandSportz will always be based in Hartford, Connecticut. We've had talks, Eric and I, here and there, and he'll chime in on this in a second, but of moving outside Connecticut in the surrounding
Yep.
state or something. And I mean, nothing would ever change about the channel itself. We would just be streaming from another facility that wouldn't be in Connecticut. And of course, we'd make that known, but that wouldn't be right now. That'd be in the coming years for sure, because we're kind of still getting things straight out. But that was definitely what I would say the future is in my eyes and mine for the channel. Things don't work out like a year and a half from now. We're still at where we're at now. We're still going to keep doing this for sure. It's just I'm going to have kind of like I have now. I have my education and stuff lined up in a way that if this doesn't grow as we expect it or want it to and expect it to, I'll have my education and degree lined up in the next year or two. So I'll be all set for that as a backup plan. But this is kind of something I want to be priority, which is why we're kind of doing a daily vid every day. So that's kind of what I see. What's your side to this?
Yeah, yeah, no, pretty much everything you said about the channel is my hopes as well. I want to see it grow and continue to grow. And, obviously right now it's kind of tough to do content. We have to do more longer videos talking about, you know, historical past events. Like I said, we're going to start our History of series very soon. Ideally, the longer this whole quarantine thing lasts, the more likely I am to be able to do it for every single sports team of the Big Four. But getting off that, it's just kind of tough to think of some topics sometimes. So sometimes we're sitting there and we're like, what do we want to do for a video? Dang, we can't think of anything to do that day that's not kind of boring or repetitive or something like that. So sometimes we, once sports are back, we'll have more videos that are going to be fresh to date for you guys. Obviously, we'll do like a weekly recap of sports if we can, but um, ideally, we get it to grow, we keep growing, people keep subscribing, all this stuff. I don't want to give the same exact spiel that you just did. So, yeah, for the future though, it's funny that you mentioned Heartland Sports will always be based in Hartford, Connecticut, because don't forget ESPN will always be based in Bristol, Connecticut, despite the fact that their main offices are in Los Angeles now. So, am I saying I'm going to move to California? Heck no. I have no intention on moving out there. But I do intend on moving out of Connecticut at some point just because taxes are so high and, we're still young enough that we don't pay rent, with our parents type of thing. We live with our parents still for the time being. Obviously, we're getting older now, so it's not going to be the case for much longer, at least in my choice, if I have a say. And I intend on moving, and I don't know where yet, but I do want to stay in the north. I'd like to stay in a place like New Hampshire, Vermont area, maybe Maine, maybe upstate New York, Midwest, Ohio, Wisconsin, great areas. It's a little different than where I am now, but I want to do something. I want to explore the world, explore the U.S. There's so many things I want to see that I can't really do if I'm stuck in Connecticut because there's not too much here. We don't have a professional sports team in one of the big four. We do have the Connecticut Sun and we do have the New England Black Wolves based in Mohegan Sun, but they're not exactly known as big four teams, so they are not going to be accounted for in that situation. But yeah, I'm also going to school on and off again. It's just kind of one of those things that when I have the money, I go for a semester and I enjoy it as I'm there. It's not my favorite thing. I don't like school, but I do it. I don't know what my career choice will be, so it's another thing too that's kind of slowing me from going and pursuing it heavily. It'd be nice to go and do something like sports related, statistics related with sports, but with computers dominating, it's very apparent. Some going and getting a sports statistics degree is worthless nowadays, and getting a history degree is completely worthless. Geography degree is worthless. It's just kind of like all my favorite things I like doing are kind of worthless in the quote unquote real world, the working world. So it's kind of disappointing, but the future's still bright ahead of us, so just got to keep looking forward and seeing what I can do. And for the record, I always get told, oh, you should be a teacher. No interest in that because I don't feel like dealing with a bunch of kids that, especially nowadays. When we were talking before this, we were talking about how bad and disrespectful our grade was in school. I can just imagine how worse these new generations are going to be, potentially be,
True.
with their iPhones every single day. We didn't have phones when we were young, so we don't remember this stuff. But can you just imagine how easy it is to cheat on tests now and all that good stuff? Like, come on.
That's
It
true.
used to be so difficult if you wanted to cheat. Obviously, I never did, but you know, it's a completely different thing, and I have no intention on dealing with that. I, I commend the people who do, and they definitely deserve a pay raise. And I'm sure everybody's gonna agree with that now after they're stuck home with their kids during this quarantine.
True. True. And to touch on what you said before, in terms of like the video content that we're putting out, obviously we try to keep it a little bit of everything. We don't like to do like, for example,
Yes.
we're not going to do like 5 history videos in a row. We're not going to do five
Right.
NHL videos in a row. We try to juggle it. And obviously Eric has his strong sports like football and others, and I have my strong sports like hockey and others. So it's kind of right now, especially with sports being on hold everywhere. I mean, you talk about football, basketball. I mean, football obviously is out of season, but basketball, hockey, Major League Soccer, NASCAR. I mean, every sport, even UFC, is like in halt. So like, um, obviously that's kind of why we're doing all this history kind of stuff, or these sports greatest of all sports teams, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But yeah, we'll definitely be juggling the content load in terms of upload. We're still going to try to keep it as best we can to a one video every day. Um, like if we were going to miss a day, we know we would do two in one day, and I would schedule that other one to not go up until the next day that we weren't able to record. But obviously, there's a chance here and there that we might miss a day or two, or one day here or there. But that's not a big deal as long as
Hey,
we're still
definitely,
doing our best. Yeah.
definitely subscribe to our Twitter. Follow us on Twitter because I will update you guys if there's going to be a day we can't do a video. I will let you all know.
Yep.
Um, I will let you know after we post our videos. Oh yeah, come check out X video. Sometimes I'll let you guys know if we're doing a live video. That's gonna be a longer one. Always, definitely, please feel free to comment on our videos. I'm always watching the live stream just in case. We don't have your comments displayed here on the screen for you guys, but I am watching them just to make sure if you say something, it will be known what you're saying, and we'll I'll relay the message, so you will be heard. Any questions that you have, I will definitely, comment. If you have a comment, I will definitely say it. Whatever you want to say, as long as it's appropriate.
Yep. So
You say
Eric,
something that's not appropriate, no.
right. So like Eric, for example, like you said earlier in the video, he runs the Twitter. I run the Instagram, and of course, we're trying to get both of those off the ground to help obviously promote the channel itself. So he'll give you definitely. I'll give you two as well on Instagram, but he'll give you on Twitter the updates on, the titles of the videos that came out. Most likely there'll be a link in there. Most likely I'll be sharing the link when I upload the video, or if he'll let you know for sure. But yeah, we're just kind of see where things go from here. And in my mind, I don't know about Europe, but in my mind, obviously, there's a couple statistic numbers, subscribers, or video views or stuff that I have in my mind that I kind of want to get to by, like, for example, the end of the year. Kind of small goals here and there in order to make sure we're at least growing and not just kind of staying at a kind of low area, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much concludes this video about the knowledge more of the people behind HartlandSportz. And we'll definitely be on with another video coming tomorrow. And you'll have to find out with that uh, via the Twitter or the Instagram or just subscribing to the channel. So I appreciate you joining me, Eric.
Ain't no problem. And I just want to say to you football fans out there, expect to see a lot of the Philly special this year with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Let's go, Fly Eagles Fly. Have a good one.
All right, thanks a lot, Eric. Nice shout out there to the Philadelphia Eagles, and wishing them a well season ahead as we finish off this video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comments, and we will talk to you guys soon. Appreciate it.